taxpayers being caught up in this trap. With that, I'll now yield to Mr. Roskam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Begdoyan, the gentleman from New York, Mr. Crowley, said that this is an attempt to smear the Affordable Care Act, and I would argue just the opposite. I think the Affordable Care Act, to use his adjective or his verb, is smearing itself. And he posed a number of hypotheticals to you. Let me move out of the hypothetical and into the actual. So actually, based on this investigation, there were 12 attempts to defraud the system, and 11 of those attempts were successful. That's right, isn't it?
That's correct, Mr. Ross.
And that's not hypothetical. Those are actual 11 attempts that came up where the bad actor rang the bell and got a benefit that they weren't supposed to get. That's right, isn't it?
That's correct in these 11 instances.
I find that number, 11 out of 12, shocking, jarring, troubling. You know, pick your descriptor. Have you come to an opinion based on your experience as to how you'd characterize the robustness of the program? I recognize your admonition at the beginning that you don't want to overlay, but for example, accept this hypothetical. If this trend were to continue, and 11 out of 12 were to continue to be the trend, and you were to lay that out over this entire program, how would you describe that net result?
Well, again, I would be reluctant to project based on this very limited sample.
I accept that at face value.
But as I mentioned again, and I will underscore it in this instance, is that we have identified several areas of control that need attention, and our audit work will focus on that and benchmark against appropriate standards for us to make any kind of judgment in terms of forward-looking in this regard.
Have you come to an opinion about the robustness of the Internal Revenue Service and their role in the 11 cases that you came across?
Our work has not touched the IRS as yet, but they are part of the overall scope of our work.
So the IRS inquiry is ongoing?
It is, yes. It's active work as we speak, and that is one of the agencies we'll be touching on in terms of their roles in controlling enrollment.
And this GAO report, this investigation, came about as a result of a specific congressional inquiry. Is that right?
That's correct, at the request of Chairman Bustani and others.
I think that we're going to continue to have these episodic insights into the weakness of some of these things, and what we need to be doing and what Congress needs to be doing is advocating an overall structure for oversight. I have introduced H.R. 4158, which would create a special inspector general to monitor the Affordable Care Act, or SIGMA. Congress has appointed special inspectors general for things like the Troubled Asset Recovery Program, TARP, Afghanistan, Iraq, and elsewhere, where literally billions of dollars in waste have been uncovered. And if you think about the scope of what we're talking about here, CBO projects that over $1 trillion in Affordable Care Act subsidies are going to be paid out over 10 years. Those types of numbers just absolutely take your breath away. Even if a portion of the trend that you uncovered continues, these numbers are really jarring. The Special Inspector General approach that I've advocated would have a similar role with jurisdiction that spans all implementing agencies and the ability to bring important data to light and hold the administration accountable. And in the case of subsidies, it's given specific oversight over the IRS and its implementation of the law more broadly, but also its subsidy verification and overpayment recapture process. So I think that there's a real opportunity here. Your insight is incredibly helpful. I want to join my colleagues in thanking you for the work that you're doing. We are not overcharacterizing it, but we are really concerned about the depth and the problems that you've identified and articulated. Thank you for your time. I yield back.